You can? You can see
We've already shared it, yeah. Yep.
Oh, good. It's fantastic. Okay, well, you can start recording momentarily.
Hi, Karen. I can't. I want to go to the IPT breakout room.
Who's that?
Sarah Hasman.
Sarah Hasman?
Yeah.
I'll just send you there.
Sorry.
HSC sort of, you're right. All good.
Thank.
So does anybody else need to go to another room before I begin?
I think it's all yours, Sam.
All right. Okay. So good morning, everyone. I'm Sam Pennington. I'm from Carlingford High School, and I teach stage 4 digital technologies. I teach stage 5 IST, and then now teach multimedia as well. And I teach stage 6 software design development. So today we'll be working on Greenfoot Java, and I'm probably going to change my headphones because I feel like I'm talking in my own head. And just talk with the microphone off the computer.
Can you hear me? Can you just tell me that you can hear me, please?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. All right. So I feel like I was talking just in my own head. All right. So Greenfoot Java is a great application for, say, stage 5. And I know that some people use it for stage 6. It's object oriented. It uses JavaScript plus its own inbuilt code as a library that's like an import into Java. So it has all the Java code plus its Greenfoot library. And I find that it's really good with stage 5 and I also use it with stage 6 just as a nice visual representation of an object oriented language. I think I was taught to do this by a guy who works at Barker called Lael Grant, and how I think he uses it with his software class. So it's able to be used in both stage 5 and 6. So this is, to do Greenfoot, you actually need to have downloaded greenfoot.org, from greenfoot.org, it's free. So what you can do if you haven't downloaded that, you could probably, it's very quick to download. So first of all, when you open a new project, you're just faced with this very bland looking front page, and then you need to import your images, and you also need to import your actors into the actor class, which will appear on like a stage. So it's a little bit like a stage. And I think for me, I'm a visual learner, so I find this is a really good way to take the code and think about class structure.
Karen, sorry, our breakout room just closed and we've all been rejoined.
Can you just recreate them, Karen?
Yeah, thank you.
Hopefully that's working.
Yeah, that's working.
Yeah. Okay, so
Brian, you need to make me a co-host.
All right, so in Greenfoot, what you've got here is you've got your world class and you've got your actor class. So in the world class, let's have a look at what you get in the straight up, you get my world. So let's have a look at that. And I'm probably going to rename this. So what you get is just the super class, which actually defines how large your room is. I'm going to leave it like this, I think, for the, I'll just show you what happens if you change the size so that you can see what happens if you just change the size of it like so. And it's also got a pixel size. The common one actually just means how wide the pixels are. All right, so if you compile that, you'll then get a larger room. I'll just show you.
Nothing's happening.
Beg your pardon?
We can't see you doing anything.
Oh, I'm screen sharing.
Yeah, but it's...
Right, so I'll go back to, I'll just make sure that I'll do it again. It must have dropped out when everyone else came back in. So when you double click on my world and you change the superclass to, originally at 600 by 400, but now it's actually, now I changed it to 800 by 600, and then I just recompiled it, and it just automatically creates a larger space. All right, the design that I have done for today is actually the original size. So I'll just change it back so then you'll be able to see it change, because you didn't see it because it wasn't shared. Okay, compile, and then I'm just going to admit Scott into the room. Okay, done. All right, so that is, first of all, that's my room size. And in my world, I am now going to set an image for the background. So I right click on my world and go set image. Okay, so in my images, and there's a whole bunch of images that you can do, but I've actually got my own ones for today. So I'm going to create a new image. And this is a slightly different version because this is not showing the name of the class at the top. I just want to add an image to the background. So I'm just going to import it from a library. So this is just for the world class. All right, so that's probably why it's a little bit different looking. So fluffy background, as you can just see on my screen. Hopefully you're all seeing that. I can open that and then let's see that it worked. Hopefully it worked. If I compile my code again, just to make sure that I'm getting that picture, it should now be on the background. So there's the background for my Flappy Bird game. All right, so that's the first thing. Okay, so the second thing, I'm going to turn my, all right, so the second thing is, just have one more look into there. You can see all I've done is added a picture. That's it. So in the second part here, where you've got your actor class, you can add other classes to this. So here's the actor class. This is just notes. You can always get to your documentation by just clicking on the main class, and it's got all of the Greenfoot objects that you can create. That's useful, but I want to create an actor. So my actor in this scene is basically Flappy Bird. So I'm going to create a new subclass. Right click, create the new subclass. Otherwise, you can open documentation. That's your two choices. So I'm going to create a new class name called Flappy Bird, or Flappy. It's whatever you want to call it. Flappy. And I'm calling the subclass Flappy Bird. I'm going to use the standard camel, what we call camel case, to name this object or this new class. And it will be an extension of the actor class. So I also need to, I forgot to add the image. I have to set the image. I can do that using right click again and then set an image. And then I can go in and grab I have to import from a library. All right, so I have to import from the library. In the library, I've got a few Flappy Birds here. Hopefully this one doesn't have a white background on it. You need a transparent image, okay? If it doesn't have one, I can change it. Here's my standard Flappy Bird picture. Now, it doesn't appear on the world at the moment. There's a couple of different ways of getting your object to appear on the world. So the one you can set in code, one you can just place it and then save the world. That's actually one of the fastest ways to do it. So if I grab my Flappy Bird, I'm going to get a new Flappy Bird, and then I'm going to just put him over here. I'm saying it's a him, but putting it over here. Now, if I was to run the code, Flappy Bird's in its spot. If I reset, Flappy Bird disappears because it's not actually saved to the code. It's just there as like an instance variable or instance object, sorry. And so what I need to do is I need to set the image. I need to create a new Flappy Bird, but I need to save it. Okay, so I'm just going to pop it here. I want to right click on my world and I'm going to save the world. I like the idea to save the world. Okay, so when I save the world, what happens is in my world, it's actually created an entire new class called the prepare class. It just did it automatically because Flappy Bird was my first object. So it's actually picked up the location of Flappy Bird on the screen at that moment. So if I wanted to change it just a little bit, because I like to make my numbers nice and neat. So how about I make it 85 and not 190, so that you can see what it's done is it's created a Flappy Bird, and then it's created an object with that name, and then it's created a new Flappy Bird, and then it's added that new object called Flappy Bird to the world. All right, so I'm going to compile that. And that'll just update it to the location that I just changed here. All right, so Flappy Bird's there. Now, if I run it, there's nothing happening yet because Flappy Bird's not doing anything. He won't move or anything, but at least he doesn't, when I reset it, he doesn't disappear. So that's the quickest way. So when I was doing an asteroids game, I had all my asteroids and I just saved the world. Because every time I reset it, and actually typing in like 20 objects into Flappy Bird, my world, just takes forever to write these lines. You can copy and paste, yes, but it's actually much quicker to place them and then save the world. All right, so that's my world so far. So first of all, yes.
His position.
Pardon?
80 and 190 at his position.
Yeah, that's right, in the world. So, so you've got 85, I think it's 85 across and it's 190 down, because I don't know if people know that computers actually do their positions a lot differently to say a mathematical Cartesian plane. It'll do it. This is the 0, 0 location, and so this will be 160 down. This is 190, I think it was. It's about half the screen, and this is like 85 across into the screen. All right, so far so good. Hopefully that makes sense. A couple of other things that we need to think about is we need to go into Flappy Bird and have a look at Flappy Bird. What we want to do is make it move. And if you know the traditional game, the bird tilts. I actually have code that makes it tilt up and down, but don't have it on my computer right now. So I only get it to tilt in one direction, and I can fix that later. All right, so Flappy Bird, I'm going to open up Flappy Bird. So this, as it says here, the public class Flappy Bird extends the actor class. All right, so what we need to do is we need to think about how Flappy Bird's going to move. It actually goes up a little bit when it starts, it kicks off a little bit, and then it starts to drop. So it's dropping with gravity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about, so it goes, gravity is going up, but it's being pulled downwards by the square of time. And I actually watched a video by Eric Fuentes on YouTube, and there's a 5-part series on how to create a Flappy Bird game. He's really good at describing the physics of how this happens, but I only have an hour and a half, so I may not be able to go into all the details. But suffice to say, if you've ever thought of dy dx and all of those sorts of things that you do in calculus, there is a dy function involved in this that will help us get that nice up movement and then the gravity pulling it down. So I'm going to start with putting my action code here. So action code is happening like on a frame by frame basis. What's going on in this animation, essentially. So I'm going to set a variable called dy, and it's going to be an integer variable for the moment. Later I might change that, but I'm going to say dy equals 0. And because this is Java, it has a semicolon at the end of the line. Someone's just entered back in, I think, and they may well have been in IPT. They may need to be put back in there, Karen. Sunil just came back in to this room.
Okay.
All right. So also I need a gravity component. So I'm going to put int G for gravity. Probably not the best choice of data type for gravity, but we'll start with just say a gravity of 2, just so we can see this. At the moment, it's not doing anything. It's not moving anywhere, but I'm going to make it move. And I'm just checking my code as I've got like a script for this so that I do things in the right order. But I've also, I also have running notes, and I also have a complete Flappy Bird program that I'm following that I've previously obviously written before. So I'm just going to check my code order, make sure this works. All right, so the thing we need to do is we actually need to set the location of Flappy Bird and how it's getting its X and Y coordinate, and then it's going to add onto the Y coordinate the dy amount. At the moment, dy is set to 0, but we're going to increment that with gravity. That's the aim of what we're doing. All right, so in here, I'm going to set location. Now, what I like about Greenfoot, the sections are in yellow. You've got green, which is your class structure. You've got yellow, which is your public void act. Now, if you ever seen Flappy Bird, in JavaScript or some language, you've got a void component. This means it doesn't return anything. So you'll see that in yellow. And then a white section is like an action command. And then mauve is a mauve color is like an if statement or a loop statement. And it's all color coded so that if you don't have things in the right place and you're missing things, it's actually quite easy to see. So right now I'm going to put set location in. I'm going to set the location of Flappy Bird in the space. And then as you notice here, it says set location is got a get X component, get Y component, and it's going to add onto it dy, which is your movement component. At the moment it's 0, so that's okay. All right, so the next part is that we also need to set this gravity component. And I'm just going to check my code. All right, so we're going to set that dy is equal to dy plus g. We'll start with this, okay? Right, and a semicolon at the end of the line. And we're going to compile this and just see there's no errors. Errors come up in a dark maroon color on the side. And it tends to tell you, if you do Control K or Command K on a Mac, you could see what the error is. And it gives you some hints on how you could fix it. Let me just see what happens. Right, at the moment, nothing's happening. Well, that's not a good sign, is it? So I thought it was going to launch, but it didn't move. I'd hoped he was going to. All right, so double click Flappy Bird, just checking my set location. Otherwise, okay, so if we don't set something, we'll end up with, it should be dropping at this moment in time. I'm not sure why that's not happening. Let me just check. I'm going to change a few things just to make sure I can get this right. I'm just going to change Flappy Bird. I'm going to start, because going up would be negative. I'm going to change going up. If I want to go back up for a little bit, I'm going to change this to -10. And then I'm going to change this to 1.3 because I know later on I need to do that. So I'll do it now. I'll explain that because I've changed these variables, I need to create, it's automatically, it's picking up there's an error because I've changed this to an integer, so not a decimal. I need to change that. This is now called a double. Now double is for decimals. It's double precision point. So it's 60, is it 32, 64 bits are you set aside in memory for a double precision point. I think, and then it's single precision points, 32 bits are set aside for creating a decimal. All right, so let's see if that's had any effect. I hope it has. Oh, I've got a problem. I've got a problem right in here. So right now I'm pulling in a, see where dy is, it's actually adding on this double to something that was actually a coordinate, which means it's actually now created a double. So what you're getting here is a type mismatch error, even though it probably doesn't say what error it is. When I was younger, it's got incompatible types, possible lossy conversion from double to integer. So this is not working because I'm trying to do a coordinate location with a decimal and it doesn't work. So you have to say inside this location that it's an integer. So you're converting whatever this comes out to be. Say it came out to be 4.5, you're just converting it to 4. You'll take the integer component of it, the front part. It's not rounding it, doesn't do a rounding function. It just takes the integer component and converts it into a whole number. Oh, it went straight up. Well, at least I know it went up. That's a start. It's not coming down at the moment, but at least I've got some movement happening. All right, so let's go from there. All right, so the other issue is I do need, I'm just quickly checking my notes. Okay, so I've got the graphic set at 1.3. Let's see, I've also got -10 and I've got this bit. The other thing I want to do is, I don't know why that's going backwards, but that's interesting. What I would like to do is I would like to put in a thing where you press the space bar, you will get Flappy Bird that nice movement that keeps him up. The interesting thing is, I actually thought that was going to go down, not up. So I don't know why that happened. Suggesting did I make that -10? Yeah, so look, I might just change this back to 0 for a second and see what happens. Compile. Let me just try that. Interesting, it doesn't go anywhere. Reset. All right, back to where I was. At least it was doing something for a moment. Okay, minus. All right. Okay, so to test out my game, I have a quick look at Flappy Bird. I'm just going to go and check my my code to make sure I've got it all right. So I wrote notes on this last night to make sure that I get all the bits in order. All right, I'm going to try dy plus g. Yeah, that's correct. Alice is coming back in. All right, so the next thing I'm going to try and get is this idea of the space bar, hitting the space bar and actually getting it to move Flappy Bird up to keep it up so it doesn't drop. Unfortunately, for some reason, it's going up and not down. I must have done something slight incorrect thing here. I'm not sure what it is. I'll figure it out as we go along. All right, so the if statement that I'm going to use, notice straight away it's mauve. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, now Greenfoot, this is a Greenfoot specific code, that part of its code library. And before I write anything else, you might notice up at the very top, it says input Greenfoot. You've got your world, your act, your Greenfoot image, your Greenfoot and mouse info. All of this is part of this Greenfoot library. So movement and things like that and image locations is an addition to the normal JavaScript commands. And you can combine different things by importing color from JavaScript code just so that you can add extra functionality. But for the moment, we're just sticking with Greenfoot. Okay, so I'm going to say is key down. If a key is down is written like this, and I'm going to say if the space key and that it's equal to true. If it's down, it's true. I am going to do the following. Now, once I open these things, it'll automatically adjust. The problem is it's actually got this code here is not meant to be inside there. So I'll take it out and I'll pop it down the bottom. It's got to be on white. That action code there for that formula needs to be on the white section. Notice that the this is called initialization of your variables. Your variables up here are all in the white section and your set location is in the white section. What we're going to do in this section, all right, I tabbed it in. It corrected that error. I think, what's the error now? Let me just check there's an error. Oh, sometimes it will tell you exactly what you need in the right spot. So after true, I need to close a parenthesis. There you go. Now it's correct. Also, sometimes when you're going through, you'll lose one of your squiggly brackets. Because you used it on the if, it just disappears. You just add another one. As long as you've got green around green, yellow around yellow, mauve around mauve, it's all finished off. All right, so the next thing that we need to do is we need to say what's going to happen. So when I'm going to change dy's value. All right, so dy is equal to, all right, dy is equal to, and I'm going to say, because we're going back up the screen. So if you remember, it goes from 0 to 800. I think we did 0 to 600 and then 0 to 400 downwards. So in order to go back up, I have to take off. So I need to go say -20 to go back up the screen. Okay, so that value there, I'm going to see what this does. So when I press the space bar, the only issue is my Flappy Bird was already going up and now I've just made it go up more. And I don't know why it should be going down. Gravity's 1.3. Let me check, is 1.3. dy is -10. Okay, I've got -20 for that. And I am not sure. Add Flappy Bird, yeah, done that. Gravity acting on Flappy is pulling it down the square of time. Dy is set to, okay, it's a decimal, so I tried putting it back to 0. Let's just see what -1 does for the moment, just so I can get it to work and show you. Okay, reset. Right. Let me just pull my other one back over here so you can see what it's supposed to look like. So the whole thing at the end will look like this. See how it's popping back up? And I've actually slowed, why I'm not very good at Flappy Bird. I've never been very good at the game. Why I like making games is because I can make games that I can actually play, because I can slow things down to a speed where I can actually control the object, because I'm terrible at Flappy Bird. I was never good at it. So I'll just have a look into my Flappy Bird here just to check my code. There's a lot more code in here, so then it will look a little bit overwhelming. But I'm just checking a few things to make sure. Public void act, okay. I've got my set location, so it should be the same as this one. I'll just close that down for a minute. So this is supposed to have the same code. I don't understand why it's not working. If anyone can see why it's not working, I've missed something, please just put your mic on and say, because it won't work otherwise. So this is my code. I've got other parts that I'm further on in. Okay, double dy is supposed to be -10. I've got set location, get x, integer, get y, dy. Okay, that's all the same. I think it's all the same. Ah, I figured it out. Okay, straight away, I figured it out. As soon as I saw that, it's above, there's a section above this, the white section above it, they're global variables, they go above, they're local variables to this actor class, but they're above the act class. That's why it's not working. Oh, phew, I was a bit worried there for a moment. Spent a couple of hours writing this script last night, and so I thought, oh, okay, what's going on? All right, let me take it back to, I'll get this one over there. Let me get my original one back. That's why it's always good to have a second one, the actual version that's working alongside. And where's my, I've lost my Flappy Bird. Where did he go? I've lost my program. Oh dear. Okay, class and save. Okay. Maybe it's on the other screen. Nope. Okay, I'm just going to close this for a minute. I'm going to close it so I can find my close. All right, go back to my Flappy Bird copy. Just reopen the Greenfoot, Project Greenfoot. I'm just going to reopen my class. All right, so let's have a look. The world's been constructed. Flappy Bird is, it should be moment. Let's have a look at this code, just make sure that's all good. That's looking a bit better. All right, close that and reset. Should have compiled. It's changed its mind and decided not to. No syntax errors. Good. Okay, that's great. But why is my world not being constructed now? Oh, come on. I don't work with computers. I'm sure sure that the rule should be don't work with computers, animals, and children. It's not. Okay. All right. My world's decided to disappear. That's just brilliant. Ah, found it. Okay, found it. Oh, I found it for a moment. If I go to quit, oh no, I quit that one too. All right, for some reason it is not opening, so I'm going to quit my project. I'm going to open my copy again. Hopefully it'll come back this time. Ah, there you go. All right, we're safe. It's all safe. Good. And this one I need to open as well. That's my full one. All right, here we go back to where we were. All right, so we're up to Flappy Bird and we've had a look at, we've got the set location working, we've got the space bar. So hopefully now when you compile this, you should be able to see a little bit of a difference to the way it worked before. Oh, there he goes. He's jumping up a bit, but at least he's moving. He's doing the right thing. He's a bit erratic. Okay, so reset that. All right, so in Flappy Bird now, what we need to do is we've got the space working. And I think that perhaps let's go into the Flappy Bird. What we want to do is we want to allow him to go just below the bottom. So notice that it only stops here. We don't want that because we actually want him to disappear below the edge, because if he does, you lose like a lot, not a life, but the game's over. So we're going to go to My World and we're going to look at this superclass here, but we're actually going to allow Flappy to actually go below the edge. And so this extra command here, the false, will allow Flappy to go below the edge. So if I compile, if I allow that to happen and I reset, now he'll go below the edge. Okay, so that's what we wanted to do, so that we can then later on, when you if you're outside of the world, you can say that that you lose a life or your game is over. So it's going back to Flappy, and having a look at this, we're going to create a boost speed, which we are going to use. So it's easier to change variables if they're at the top of the class, at the top, so that every time you want to change something to test it, you're not fishing through to find those variables. You can just change things like, for example, I'm going to change this to boost speed. It's not minus, it's just boost speed. I haven't finished creating that boost speed, okay? I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to say that boost speed is equal to -20. So if I wanted to, for testing purposes, much quicker to find that variable. It hasn't really changed what it does. It's just changed it. If I want to change it later for testing purposes, it'll be a lot quicker. All right, so, okay, we're going to try and set Flappy Bird's angle. I'm only going to be ending up getting him to tilt upwards. For some reason, I wasn't able to get it to tilt down. All right, so what we want is an if statement that says, say between -10 and 10 for dy, we want it to actually tilt. So the tilting is done by, okay, so we go if, straight away, another purple. Okay, so we're going to start with, I'm just going to delete this. I'm just going to paste it in and explain the code, all right? I'll explain this code for you. All right, so what I've got, now if you want to see, for example, if I want to set the angle, what I'm saying is if the dy is greater than -10 and less than +10, so the dy component is moving upwards, I'm going to set the rotation of Flappy to be 30 degrees. And then I had that if he was less than 10, oh, that's why it doesn't work. Maybe if I say less than -10, I might get Flappy to work. If it's less than -10, I want the rotation of Flappy to change direction to go down. Now, I'm not quite sure that's correct. It might be greater than 10. I'll check. In here, this is the OR logic operator. If you want AND, it's a double ampersand. If you want OR, so greater than or less than 10. Okay, so that's the OR symbol, and then the double ampersand is your AND operator. So let's just compile that. All right, so if I just run this, I've got a dipping, he's dipping, he's at least dipping in the direction. But what we really want is, it would be really nice if he dipped both ways. And I'm just going to check if it was, because one thing I wasn't able to do was get this to work. But let me just try. Notice that I've changed the code and it shows it needs compiling again. It won't activate that code until I compile it again. If you are new to this sort of coding, compiler is checking the whole code and then compiling it into machine code before it runs it. It also will highlight all errors. Okay, whereas an interpreter will go through and do a line at a time, interpret it, and then run it, and then we'll show an error at a time. Okay, I'm not going to waste time, will not waste more time trying to get that to work. I know that I have got it on my hard drive from school. I'm just going to leave it for the moment and say it didn't quite work. That's fine. I know at least one of the directions is working. All right. So I guess what I could do is just take out the condition and just make it possibly just make it an else, and that could do it. Let's just try that one more thing to do. No, it's still not quite right. The idea you would tilt in both directions if it was doing it the right way. It is popping up quite high, I notice, and it's very fast. Hopefully we can get that to work a little bit better later, and I'll tweak it a little bit. All right, so I'm up to now what happens when Flappy Bird reaches the edge of the world. What do you want to happen when Flappy Bird reaches the edge of the world? You want Flappy to say that it's game over. So I'm just going to open my Flappy Bird, my other code, which is just here, and I'm going to show you what I've got for that. All right, so Flappy Bird is about to reach the edge of the world. I'm going to put some code in that will sort that out. Let's have a look. I'm just going to paste this in right now. So this says in this little bit here, just a comment. So // is a comment in the code. So if Flappy Bird reaches the edge of the world, then it's game over. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say, this is a system printout. It's just going to say game over, and it's going to stop Greenfoot. So this is getting the, now notice this here where it says get world. It's talking to the world class over here, because because you can't, in the act class, you can't really do any objects outside of itself. So what you do, if you want to talk to an object that's not that particular actor, like Flappy Bird, you can talk to the world class and actually make some comment code. You can activate code by using this get world, and then using any of the things like get height, for example, is part of the get world. So what it's going to do is it's going to compile that. It's going to allow, if I run it, it stops. This terminal window will pop up and says game over. Now, of course, you don't want that as your main, what happens in your game. You actually want a screen that says game over and the game stops. But this is just like a, what we call in computing, a debugging output statement. It's allowing you to see that it's actually stopped and it's invoked that code. So that's working right now. So what we need to do next is we need to, like the code is basically speaking to the world class. So first of all, what we've done is we're going to now create a new object, and it's called the game over object. So I'm going to start with creating a new object in my class, in my actor class, which will be, I'm going to create a new one, new subclass, and it's going to be called game over. I didn't use camel class case on this, but I probably should have. But I'm going to keep it the same as the code I already have. All right, so I'm going to create a new thing, and this is actually going to have a picture, which is just game over, and I'm going to grab it from my, I'm going to grab it from, import it from my library, and in my library, I have a game over icon, which is just this one. All right, so it just says game over and okay. Now, I'm not going to put it on the screen, you see. So the difference here is it's going to be called from the world class, and it's going to come in a moment. I need to go back into, I need to go and create in the world class. I'll show you what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to tell it to create it here, and it's going to display game over. So I need to create this object right now. So it's like, I mean, what the word is in object-oriented coding is instantiation. So I'm going to instantiate this object right now and it's going to appear in the world class. That's the thing, because it's actually happening. So I'm going to talk to the world class to get this object to appear, because it's appearing from code, not created when I set up the game. In fact, the pipes do the same thing. They get created on the fly, literally. That's a pun intended. So while Flappy Bird's moving along, after about a second, we're going to get pipes coming, and then another pipe coming every 100 counts. And that's the aim of the game. And then if we collide with either the bottom or the pipe, the game's over. All right, let's look at Flappy Bird now. Let's have a look at the code here. So at the moment, we're just telling it to print out the system out print line, game over. We need to take this out. So I'm going to take this code out. Okay, so I'm going to put in a new piece of code. Now this time I'm going to actually create a new object, and the new object is a get world object. Okay, so I'm going to take, I want it right in the center of my screen. So I'm going to take the height. So depending on how large you made your world, you will probably want to create it in the middle. So a bit like a phone, when you're designing a phone app, when I'm teaching my students to design phone apps, I'm saying you want to take up the available space and divide it by 2, but you know, every phone screen is a different size. So you want to fill the container. So you've got a container, but you might choose a bigger screen. So don't maybe make a particular location, which I did with Flappy Bird for this example, but I could have done the same thing, is basically taking the height and the width of the world and dividing it by 2. So here's the one I'm going to do. Let me explain this code. So I'm going to add an object, get world, add object, game over, get world, get width, divided by 2, comma, get world, get height, divided by 2. Let me just see if I've got everything. I'm just going to check my world class just to make sure I don't need some code in there. I'm just not 100% certain. I'm just checking my world class. The only thing that's created in the world class is actually Flappy Bird at the moment. It's not, nothing else is in that code. I'm missing something. I bet I'm missing I bet at the very bottom, I'm missing something. Let's find out what I've done wrong. Let's have a look. It's okay. Okay, let's just check what it says. I think it's saying cannot find variable game over. So let me just check my other one. Game over. Nothing in that. Okay, there's nothing in the game over class. So I need to check my Flappy Bird, just checking that I've got, okay. Doesn't seem to like my code. Oh, I missed the line of code, that's why. I have to create the variable game over first. All right, I need to create this, just pop this out. We don't need this line anymore. So I'm going to paste this in. I might leave it there as a comment, so for the recording, so people know that I did use it originally. I forgot this line of code. This is where you create the variable game over. Otherwise, when you get to add object game over, it doesn't know what it is. So that should compile. Now, if I go to my screen, I should be able to run this. Game over comes up. Okay, so reset, run. Oh, I disappeared off the top. In Flappy Bird, it doesn't matter if Flappy goes up above the top. Reset. I'm actually going to go back into my Flappy Bird right now, and I'm going to have a look at that speed. It is going really fast. So right up here, I've got -10. Doesn't seem to be a problem at boost speed. I might change boost speed at least to -15. I know that's what a guy who I did do this tutorial from an online one because I did it with my class, and it was just nice to do something different because I'd previously done an asteroids game, which I've written and developed myself, which I did in my course when I learned to do Greenfoot. And okay, it's a little bit better. The boost speed's not so bad, but I think the launching up at the very beginning is probably, the setting of DY here is quite quick. So I'm going to change that to -8 and try, just see if I can slow down his boost. Yeah, that's a little bit more controllable. Okay, reset. Okay. Before I go on any further, are there any questions at the moment? Okay, good to know that there are other people in the room, because sometimes you get to the point where you feel like you're talking to yourself and you could be the only person in the room and everyone else has for some reason dropped out. It's good to
Zoom is hard for getting people feedback, especially when all our cameras are off.
Yeah, true. But so you're all there still. That's nice. So can you all still see my screen?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So if you have any questions at all at the moment? No?
Can we see the final thing?
Yeah, sure. Okay, run. Okay, I'll explain what goes on here. He's running. Okay, so Flappy goes along and there's a pipe, 2 pipes. Okay. Now, I actually cheated and used the same pipe for both. That's why they're upside down. I just decided it's a little bit easier than trying to create 2 different things. There are 2 pipes created, but I used the same icon, so picture. I did it again. Okay. All right. So
which grade have you done this with?
I did it with Year 12 software, actually, because I just wanted a nice prac to do with them. And I just went, hey, how about we do Flappy Bird? So I found this good tutorial and I thought, I'll do it. And he's a good teacher. The guy who did it is really good at explaining it. I've been teaching programming paradigms. This year's my 4th time. I must admit, it's taking me 4 years to really feel like I'm getting it. And in fact, I did write some of the answers for the solutions. Ooh, was that a screenshot? That was sounded really loud.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's right. I taught the other option topic previously, the one that's on software developers, interrelation between hardware and software. I taught for 3 years. It took me 3 years to feel that I really knew it, but it's taken me a little bit longer. It's taken me a little bit longer to get my handle on programming paradigms. And because I'm a visual learner, I found this is a really good way to understand inheritance and, you know, like the game, these objects that I've created actually inherit things from the actor class that they can use. And then each one of them have got their own extra attributes. So for example, the Flappy Bird has movement. The score is you know, and we're not, obviously I haven't added these two yet, but you know, it's really good. But you can do it with stage 5 as well, because you don't have to go into all the object orientated stuff if you don't want to. You can just do it as we're making an animation or like a game. You can do a game or, but I do like it because when I did Java, I really didn't enjoy Java. I have to say, I did the Oracle 100, I did about 150 hours worth of Java. I did Alice, which is a very visual environment. Didn't suit me because I couldn't see the code. And then I did all coding with Eclipse. I must admit, I detested it. And but then I did Greenfoot, and I went, it's taken the visual component and the Java component, put it together in a way that works the way my brain works and the way I like to teach. So I find this really good. Okay, you can do it with stage 6. It's not beneath them. And for a little bit of at the end of the year in term 4, when I do programming paradigms, it's a really nice light relief for them, even though they've just gone into the HSC year. And they got, I think for my lower ability kids, they got something out of my higher ability kids were able to make Flappy, the one that one of my higher ability students was able to correct that. He was able to get that Flappy Bird going up and down. All right, so go back to where we're up to. I'm up to now, I've done the game over. The next thing I want to do is, I think it would be really good if later on we come back and we create a subroutine just for game over, because if you think about it, you've got your game over on your pipes and you've got your game over on your, you've got your game over on pipes and you've got your game over on the bottom edge. So it's called he called it a helper function. It's actually a really good way to do it, and it saves code and it's faster to compile. All right, so now we need to create pipes. Again, these pipes are going to be created on the fly, except they're going to be created in the world class. Okay, so we're going to go to the world class. So to get back to that, just double click world class, okay, my world. All right, so what we're going to do is first of all, actually we need to create a pipe class. In here, we need to create a pipe class, and it's only got a small amount of code in that. Most of the code actually happens in the world class. Okay, I think what happens in the world class is this makes sense. You actually create the pipes in the world class, but then you create the movement in the pipe class. So it's like, it's an additional thing to the actor class. It's adding, it's got extra attributes on its own. So I'm going to go create new subclass, and I'm going to do a pipe. I'm going to hide actually, I've got my face in the corner. I'm just going to move myself out of the way. Top pipe. Oh, it's just a pipe picture. Okay. It doesn't, you can do any picture you want. I'm just going to make it easy for us today and use the same image for both pipes. Okay. It doesn't really matter. It'll look a bit, and you can have 2 pipes. Okay. In the pipe class, you can have 2 different pipes, a pipe class and then 2 different ones. Okay. That's fine. And I'm going to call this pipe, and I need to call it pipe. There you go. All right. So we'll just use the one. Now I've got a pipe class. I will go to my world, and I'm going to go right down the bottom here. See where it says private void prepare? This is where I'm going to create my pipe. All right. So I'm going to start explaining now what happens in this section. What time do we finish this at 11? So I want to get through all of it. So I may have to shortcut it in the sense that I might have to, because we're building a program, so you change things on the fly, but I might have to do some of it where I just explain to you the straight out code and what it does. I'll try to explain this the best way I can. All right. I'm going to need a counter.
Sam,
yes.
excuse me, Sam. There is a half-hour break at 11. So if it goes over a couple of minutes and people are happy, that is probably possible, if you ask.
Right. Okay, cool. So thank you. I think I'll just look at the straight out code for this, because technically it's a half an hour, but I can go a bit longer, obviously, but I'd rather get the whole thing, I'd rather get it finished, and I'll explain it might be easier if I just explain the final code that we come to, and I'll explain it as I go. What I'll do is I'll just grab we're going to have, and this is interesting, you'll like this, this is good, I like this bit. So what we got in here is we've got a public void act class in the world class. So it's creating something that's going to be an action so that it can then be called from the pipe class is going to be able to do something with this code that's creating now. I'm going to put it all in and I'll explain it all. Okay. I think that's the easiest way. So what I've done is I'm going to need to create a pipe counter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to count the pipes. We're going to have a pipe counter that counts up the pipes as they, okay, so it's going to add pipes as we go every 100. Now I'll explain in a moment what all this does, but what I need to do is I need to create some, we're going to need to create some new, we're going to need to create a new, at the very top, a new variable. Okay, so this is a global variable. Okay, so it's available to the whole, because it's in the world class, it's available to the whole world. Now I'm also, I know that some of the people that are in the room right now, including Karen, don't teach stage 5 and 6. So I'm trying to, where I can, explain some of the things that some of the stage 5 and 6 people will just know what variables are for. And I mean, of course, you know what they are, but you're seeing them in code form rather than in maybe a block code form. So I'm trying to give some background to how this works. So I'm creating an integer.
It's okay, Sam. It's okay. Just concentrate on 5 and 6, stage 5 and 6 people.
Okay. All right. So
I'm here for the ride, and we do variables in primary, so it's
yes,
okay.
I know you do them mostly in block coding, though. Is that correct? All right. So
True, and we do it in Swift coding when we do that, and it's a little bit of MicroPython.
Actually, in later on, I think there's a way of doing Swift with this. There's 2 codes you can use. I've never used Swift. Okay, so let's go back to the integer for pipe counter. So first of all, I'm going to I don't know where that came from. Oh, that's later on. I don't know where that did. Oh, okay, I accidentally copied in too much. All right, let me explain. Let me just get this right. Okay, first of all, I need one here. And I need another one of these here. All right. So at the moment, what I'm doing is have a look at this code. Let me explain it. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that I'm going to have every 100 counts, I want a pipe to appear. Now, this division thing here, right here, this is what they call the modulus function. And it's going to ask that every time it's divisible by 100, it's divisible, and that every time it's divisible by 100 and the remainder is 0. So modular function is about the remainder. If the remainder is 0, then it's completely divisible by 100. So every count of 100, it's going to create a pipe. All right, so right now I've got the word pipe, new pipe. Okay, I'm going to have a top pipe and a bottom pipe. I'm going to get my Greenfoot image, and I'm going to get image, and I'm going to use this word from the Greenfoot library to say this is an image, and I want to get it all its components, like its X, Y component, its height and its width. Okay, actually its height and its width. Now, it's not working right now, and that's probably because I need to make sure I've got a pipe. So I'm just going to go back to my code for 2 seconds and have a look at why. I know why. Okay, see where it said pipe? It's a capital P. If you recall, I might have to rename my class because I actually called it lowercase p. All right, that's why the world's got an error at the moment, because I've changed. I don't want to create a new pipe. Oh, it's Stride, it's not Swift. Okay, so I'll just have to change my code a little bit. I just need to make this a lowercase p, and it should start being happy. Is that okay? Okay, I'll just go through. I should have made that an uppercase. All right, let me just see what I've done. Okay, there's 2 words here that I haven't defined. So I'm going to change these for the moment. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create 2 pipes, one at the bottom that's really low below the screen. So most of it's not even on the screen. And I'm going to make it so that I'm going to just make this 420 for the moment. And I'll come back to the words gap, and I'm going to make that 20. I want a gap between the 2 pipes. So I'm going to set the bottom pipe low. And I'm going to set, and it's also taking its height and dividing it by 2. And it's actually setting it It's setting it halfway down in the first place, but I'm also lowering it so it's right down the bottom. Okay, so I'm just going to see, I'm going to compile this and just see what this does. So every 100 counts. It's an animation, so every 100 counts, like frame rate, you know, every 100 counts, it's going to create a pipe. All right, so it's going to put one on the screen. All right, let's have a reset this and run it. Should get a pipe. If I'm not getting a pipe, I've missed something. All right, so let's go to the pipe class. Probably haven't done something here. All right, there's nothing in the act class at the moment. So let me go to the act class for, all right, so what we need first of all is we need to actually create these pipes in the act class. We need to do something in the act class. So the act class has the following code. Okay, public class pipe extends actor. In this act class, we need pipe speed equals 4. I'm going to get rid of this for the moment. I'm just going to paste this in and explain. All right, so I've just replaced what was there before. So what I'm doing now is I'm getting its X location, its Y location, and I'm taking a pipe speed of 4, and it's going to create this pipe coming at a speed of 4. I can change the speed because I've made this is a local variable within this class. Okay, so I'm going to create this and see how this goes, and hopefully I've got everything I need. Okay, I'm not getting my pipes on the screen right now. Let me go back to the pipes. What have I missed is the bit that all right, I've got a pipe counter. Oh, did I not set the pipe counter at the very beginning of the world? I don't think I actually I did set it at pipe counter as 0. Okay. All right, go to the bottom. Let me just check if I've missed anything. Okay, pipe counter. All right, let me just go back to here. Flappy Bird. Okay, prepare. Pipe counter. Okay, so it's adding the object. Pipe counter. If pipe counter is divisible by 0. Okay, pipe, top pipe, new pipe, pipe, bottom pipe, new pipe, Greenfoot image. Add your bottom pipe to the. It's not adding an object. Right, so that's my world class, and then. So it says in my notes, I'm going to the world class and have a look at where the pipes are created. We want to move each pipe halfway down its height. We've got that part, asking what the image is and returning that image. So that's what we're going to ask, what the image is here, and then return that image to the public void act. This is in the world class. All right, so something's not quite right. I'm just checking the code. All right, okay. All right, I don't know why that's not working right now. Originally, it was equal to 100. If it's divided by 100, then it's equal to 0. Okay, this is supposed to work. I'll grab my other one and show you that. Okay, so you can see any difference between that and public void act pipe counter equals pipe counter plus 1. So I've got 1. I'm just going to pull that up a little bit so you can see if that pipe equals top pipe. New pipe. It's just the only difference was that in my other one I'd had a capital for P, and that doesn't make a difference. That doesn't matter because I've fixed that. Should be adding an object, and it's not. So there's my Flappy Bird. And that one. Okay, I've got pipe counter. I don't really need anything else right now. All right, let's see why. All right, I'm going to try going back a little bit for a moment, back to where just before. I don't know why that would. Okay, I'm going to try if pipe is equal to. Just going to see if I can get it to come up. I'm just going to go back a little bit in my code. Just going to try this. It's equal to 100. So every 100, I got my counter equals counter plus 1. My pipe counter is equal to 100. Oh, it's double equals for some reason. I'm just going to try this. Run. Supposed to see pipes coming now. I do not see any pipes coming. All right, let's have a look at this code. Flappy Bird? Is there anything in Flappy Bird? Nope, nothing in Flappy Bird. There's pipe. In pipe, input Greenfoot, input pipe speed, location, pipe speed. Okay. So this is interesting. That's called capital P for pipe, and I made that lowercase. So why is this might not be working because it's not talking? Let me just see if that works. Oh, it doesn't like it. What happened here? Pipe. Oh, that's for later on. It's got an error. Let me just see if I can get this to work now. So if I compile it, that's the wrong one. That's that one. All right, let's try. Okay, let's see if I can reset this. My world doesn't like something I've done. Oops. I've got an error and I'm just going to compile it. Oh, it's just, okay, I can see where the error is. But don't worry about that. Change that to pipe. All right. This is the whole undo. Okay, close that. All right, so this is the original one. Just close that for a moment. Let's see if I can get this to work now. Reset. All right, if you go over here to Flappy, to pipe, it should be working, and I'm stuck. All right, should be working. Pipe speed, compile, no syntax errors. Pipe, my world, pipe, 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 pipe counter.
Did you need to set the first position of your pipe? And notice something in your original code.
Here. Where was that?
I mean,
where did you see that? Let's go back. Yep.
In your other copy, your SAM copy, you had a position that started the pipe. It was something like 240. So in integer first pipe equals 240.
Okay. So I actually, because that's a head. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yep. Thank you. I might have to do the rest of it. Let me have a look at it quickly because I went through because I tried to follow all of it and I can't see. Pipe counter divided by input add. All right. Okay. All right. Have a look. Let's have a look at the one I've got in front of me right now. All right. So in my other one, I'm not even going to worry about. I'm not even going to worry about that. It's not even important at the moment, so I'll just fix that. But yeah, I did have it because I copied in that code. Where's first pipe? Yeah, where did you see? This is the code here. If I go and change all of these now to pipe, it's not going to work properly. Okay, it says there's an error now because I've changed the pipe. All right. World class cannot be constructed because I've changed the pipe. I did say that I accidentally changed this pipe. Oh, I know why. Open this. If I change this back, this should work. I changed this because I had the wrong one open, and I put pipe, so that's going to be pipe. Compile. That should work now. Pipe. All right. I'm going to close all of them and reopen the whole lot. Make sure I've got the right copy. All right. Close that. Okay. Flappy Bird copy. All right. Here we go. Run. Still not coming up. Okay. Interesting. All right. So my world. Okay. Let's go back to here. Pipe counter in. And I'm going to open my other one. See what else I've got. I'll put in all the other parts to it and just see if I can explain them as I go, because it's just hard to do something that's built over 4 in one workshop. Okay, so that one, and I'm just going to open this one, and I'm going to, all right. Okay, so what you need in here, let's pop this over here. All right, in my world, it's got a few other variables and things that, so it's created like a Flappy counter and all sorts of things in there as well, but that's so that you can count how fast Flappy's going as well. Hoping this would easily come up. All right, it didn't. So I jumped ahead. That's why, because I jumped ahead in my notes and decided to shortcut it for time, and it's not paid off. All right, so in here, I'm going to put the rest of the code. All right, so in my world, all right, here we go. So I've got a few other variables where I've created like Flappy counter and all of. Okay, so in here I've got a pipe counter and I also got a Flappy counter. So I'm going to put that in and see if we can get it to work. So I got into Flappy counter. And then I don't need to do, so the other thing we also had was first pipe. So I'm going to put in the first pipe so that you write that the first pipe comes up. And the first pipe is around, from studying where Flappy ends up on the back side of the first pipe. So you remember it's happening every 100 ticks. It ends up that by the time Flappy reaches the first pipe, it's just past 200 on the screen when Flappy gets to the pipe. So by the time the pipe, because you think about where Flappy is, he actually stays where he is. The pipes are coming to him. So by the time it's created, instantiated, and then moves towards Flappy, and Flappy needs to get past the last edge, the back edge of it. So it's around 240, the position of that, the back side of the first pipe. So we'll put that in, and that should help us with this, and we'll get this bit done. And also the other two things that I wanted to talk about is the gap and between the pipes and the position of the pipes. I don't even know if I'll get to do the score today. We'll see. Oh, I can do it in a half hour extra. All right, so the next part is down the bottom. I've got a section about the first pipe, and I need to increment Flappy counter, and also the score needs to happen. It happens after the pipe is created. So let's quickly look at Flappy and see if there's anything in Flappy Bird that could help us with this. No, there isn't anything in Flappy World that talks about it. We'll just see if there's anything in pipe. Game over. Pipe is in the pipe class. We said it's just the pipe speed. It should actually be generating a pipe at the moment. I've got the pipe speed equals -4, and then I've got set location, get X, and pipe speed, get Y. I'm not sure why this is not, because I know the first pipe is just where it's going to start. It's all for the score. It should actually be oh, I know why. I think I know why. I think it's off the screen. That's why we can't see it. Let's bring the pipe back up where we can see it. I actually think this 240s, this 420s, that I think it was. Let's just get rid of that. And let's just see whether it's actually, I think it's just off the screen. Yeah, there it is. I put it too low so you couldn't see it. There you go. Yay, got a pipe. Ah, okay. All right, so at the moment, I'll just leave that for the way it is for the moment. So I got that pipe coming. Excellent. All right, any questions? Let's stop for the moment breather. Any questions? And thank you for whoever made the comment about it. Kind of started me looking at something, and I suddenly realized, oh, it's way off the screen. You can't. It is being generated. There's nothing wrong with the code. It's just can't see it. All right, I'm going to pause for a moment. Any questions? Any questions about it so far?
I don't have a question, Sam, but Brian's just posted a message about it's 10 minutes till 11 when we're finishing. And I just realized other people might come back to the main session, or they may stay in the breakout room. So just the heads up, that's all.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I've still got score, and I knew it was going to be a tight squeeze to get all this done because it's quite a lot. So I had to shortcut it a little bit. And when shortcutting it, you know, I went off script. So I do have my script here of how the order I wanted to do it in. The thing is we've got, now what we're going to go back to is we're going to go back and change this code just back to the one where it's got the modulus. So if pipe counter modulus 100, if you're dividing by 100, it's the percentage, sorry, it's a modulus. So when it's, if basically the, if it's equal to 0, okay, then this happens, and it's happening, it was happening anyway, so I thought I'll just quickly put that back in. Now we want to do score. We're going to talk about, we'll try and get the score in. Okay, so we need to set a variable for score in the world class to start with. Score is also an object. It's going to be an empty object, and we're going to draw the score on the screen. Now, I might not get to finish this. Int score equals 0. All right. Okay, so int score equals 0. I'm going to set up a variable now for the score. Okay, so there's also a score object, and we're creating a score object. So let's just first of all create an object for the score. Okay, so let's go into actor class and let's create a new subclass and call it score. And I'm just going to call it score. Okay, just like capital. We're not assigning a variable like a picture to it. Okay, so there it is. And basically we need to just put it somewhere on the screen. Okay, so we're going to new score. Okay, and we're going to put this little object somewhere. It's just a Greenfoot icon. It needs to be on the screen so that you can actually call upon it. Otherwise, if it's not on the screen, it's not in the world class. All right, so let me just reset, run. Nothing's happening. You can't see that. There you go. All right, reset. Okay, so so far so good. Okay, the score needs to have, we need to have the score, and we need to create a score object as well. We're going to create a score object, and we need to call it something different. We can't just call it score because you can't have the same name. Okay, so we're going to create a score object, and we're going to set it to null. It just means there's nothing in it, it's empty. It's an empty object, but you still created the object by creating an empty object. So I also need to do this other part. I need to create a score object, and I need to put it on the screen. And I'm just going to grab this and code, and I'm just going to put it in here so I can explain it, hopefully. What I've done is I'm setting this score object, and I'm going to set it to 0. Now, why is it not? Just check what I've done. Set score 0. Score, I don't know why. I think I put a capital on it. I'm just going to try that. No, it doesn't like me. It's probably not going to like me. What have I done over here? I'm just going to check my other original code, because you've got to keep your, I use a capital letter there, and I'm just going to check my score. This could take a little while, so let's just quickly go through my, I've got the same, make sure I've got the same code. Originally I did set it to a lowercase, so that's not a problem. Okay, it's jumped over here. All right, so I'm just going to quickly check my code. I've got a score object. I did have this as a lowercase score. I will keep it the same as my original. It's still saying that set score is 0. So I'm just going to check at the very bottom. Okay, so at the very bottom of the code, and I'm running out of time, so I'm just going to pop this other code in about Flappy. There's a Flappy counter as well as a pipe counter, and I'm clearly running out of time, so I'm just going to put it in here. So this will, it's deciding not to say that it doesn't like my code, but I'm going to increment the score here. So every time Flappy's, it's divisible by 100 and 0. When Flappy gets past that pipe, we're going to also have the pipe counters past the first grain equal to the first pipe. Then we're going to set the score. It's updating the score and sets it to 0, 0, and then also it sets it to 0, and then it'll update the score in here, and also the Flappy counter. Now there's just one object I can't figure out what that is. What's wrong with that? Let me quickly just check something in my notes. I've created that score object. It's spelled correctly. It's score with a capital. It's null. I've put it on the screen, if you recall. I did that. I loaded it on the screen. The score object is equal to new score, set score. So what I'll do right now is I'm going to jump across to my other one that's working, because then we can at least see it and I can explain for you, because I know there's only a few minutes left. So let me just jump over to this one and the finished one. Have a look. So what you've got is, I've got a few other things here that I can explain. I've actually created a gap of 420 and it seemed to not, it worked here fine. I've also, it's a 420 gap between the pipes, and the integer here for this is creating a random number, because you want your pipes to be up and down. You don't want them all in the same spot. So what I've done is I've just created a random number here, and then you've got your score object equals null, which we just spoke about. And as you can see here, this is working fine. Score object is new score, and it's setting it to 0. And this is the position of the score. And then the prepare class. Okay, that's where Flappy was created. And this is an act class that creates the pipes. And this is generating the score as it goes on. So that works okay in this one. Let's have a look at that. And let me explain the last bit. Just close that for the moment. And yes, I understand that there's an error, and I'm not 100% certain what the error is at the moment. So I'm just going to close it out and drag my working one across. It's a shame I can't get to finish all of it, but we're not sure how much time we have left. So let's look in the score class to make sure maybe I need to do something in the score class right now. No, there's too much information there to go through. Let's have a look at let's just run this for a second. Oh, what was the error? Reset, run. Okay, I got an error because I changed something. Pipe wrong name. Oh, where is that error? Nope. At some point during the session, I changed something in my code, and it's not, I didn't mean to, but I did. I did it, and so now it doesn't, okay, I got it. Pipe dot class, comma, see if that works. Compile and run. Oh, okay. All right, I'm not stopping just yet, but I'm just checking to make sure that I haven't changed a whole bunch of stuff and I've missed like one word change, because I changed it in the wrong one, and when I was working on 2, and then I've done that and I've stuffed up one small thing, the pipe, first pipe, that's all that. Pipe. Pipe's there. I don't know if anyone can see it. That's the score. Down the bottom perhaps. Pipe, new pipe, new pipe. They're all correct. Somewhere along the way I just destroyed my own code. Who knows why? I do not know what has happened to it. That's a shame. I go to copy. Right. Try this one. Okay, it's just not setting the object score for some reason. That's the only thing it's not doing in this one. The set score isn't working. No idea why. Okay, is anyone any questions? I can't get this to work. It's frozen on me. It's just saying this code doesn't work, but I've done it in the other one and it works. Any questions while we're here? No?
I missed how you dragged on the instance of the Flappy Bird and then automatically made the code.
You're right. I think you've just given me the reason, because you know when I dragged it on, I didn't save the world right. So it probably doesn't know where, it's probably not there anymore. And that's why the set score is not working. I think you just, I think you just figured it out for me. Thanks. I think that's probably what happened. So if you go back, if I go reset, saying this pipe, this thing here, right? I don't want a new my world. It's saying I've got a problem with my world now. I'll just go new world. Tried to compile it. Compile. It's saying, oh, you know what? I'm going to take this code out for 2 seconds just to stop it from having an error. Just compile it.
Sam, you're just getting everyone joining us now because
Yep.
it is now 11 o'clock. So
Yep.
we're
Yep, yep.
going to now
Finishing.
put the break on.
I'm just finishing. I'm just going to fix this piece of code. This Greenfoot, yeah, it is there. The object's there. I'm just going to save the world just to make sure that it's there. It doesn't matter where. Okay, reset. Okay, run. Okay, it's working. Okay, well, it's not having a hissy fit now, at least. I can't draw the score on there right now. Okay, all right, so reset. Okay, so because I've popped the pipes back up, the gap now between them is actually quite large. So because I didn't take off that piece of code, I didn't actually take it off. Like here, I changed this, if you recall. I think I wanted to add, say if I add just 200 to it, and then I compile it, and then I run it. Yeah, the pipes are really low now. What happened when I did 420 is they were right off the screen. So that means that I need to put the top pipe in, and there needs to be a gap between the top pipe and the bottom pipe. All right, okay, I'm gonna have to stop. Unfortunately, I didn't get to finish it. It's just a shame, and I've still got a little bit more because I need to go over the score. The score component was one of the more difficult parts. I had trouble with it because Greenfoot now has its own color class, and the code that he did quite a few years ago didn't work, and I had to figure out how the score was going to work. But you notice here I've actually drawn on that object, that Greenfoot object. I've created a score.
All right, sorry, Sam, we're going to have to move into our break now.
Yep.
So if you have any questions about scoring and that, it'd be great to reach out to Sam, and I'm sure she'll be able to assist. All right, see you all back in 30 minutes.
Sam, do you want to stop the recording?
Yeah, in a second. I'm just going to put this in here.
Oh, yeah, yeah, you could.
I'm just going to put this in here and see if it worked. I don't know why it didn't work, but anyway. All right, reset, run. Okay, notice that this is missing now. The icon's missing, so that's okay. All right, okay. I'll just try to stop the share, and I will stop the recording if we can. Stop.